Oh, what do we do?
Replay first down. I forgot to start the YouTube stream.
Just kidding, guys.
Welcome to Beerfield, where we're not going to scam you in a charity league because not enough people listen to us to run a charity league. I'm your host at Beerfield Hop with 2 P's, as always, joined by at Beerfield 30.
That's a shot at both us and the news today. Because remember when we used to have enough people to do a charity league?
We probably still do, but
we probably still do.
I'd have to try.
We would have to try, and for those of us out there that know, we don't want to try that hard.
Indeed,
not hard enough to scam you guys, that's for sure.
No, not at all hard enough to do that.
Jesus.
More on that in a minute.
Nothing happened today, I swear.
Yeah, I swear. First thing I saw on Twitter when I logged in this evening, like, look at that. Let's get straight to the chase. We're doing a show for you today. We don't have any guests because they all told us no. Like they have family stuff going on and whatnot. This is really
it's like they have lives. What do you mean you want to make time for us?
We do have a makeup show with Josh Larkey next week. So
I'm so fucking happy.
That'll be good. So we're continuing our draft class look back. We're going to talk about the 2020 NFL draft class as we do draft class look backs as we get ready for the actual NFL draft coming up
soon. As in like 2.5 months, right? No.
2 months.
3 months. 3 months. No.
It's the end of April.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 months.
Yeah, about 2.5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But Combine is into this month. So.
It's going to be only like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. Combine's coming up 2 weeks?
No, it can't be that. I thought the Combine was after the start of the new year.
Combine's at the...
Or maybe it is before the start of the... I got it.
I'm pretty sure.
Generally, it's
March 1st to March 7th. It's the week before the new league year starts.
Ah, that's right.
So, there you go. Combine coming up. Been watching, started film. Spent all of January going through statistical profiles and stuff to get my film list put together. So, just about done with quarterbacks. I kind of got the low end guys that could be something like the Bailey Zapps and the Dustin Crums of the world to pay attention to, but I'm through most of what people are debating over, and I'll just say it right now. There's a lure in some of these guys, but I think for me, Kenny Pickett so far, well, I don't want to say so far ahead in any trait, but so much more well-rounded.
He is
right
easily
now that I think he's easily the QB1.
He's not mine, but I think he's easily the most pro ready. The most starting experience, and I think if he lands in an offense like Pittsburgh, who's got great playmakers around him, I have my questions, but
who's your one?
I have my questions for everybody.
Who's your one?
My one right now, and it's just because of a fantasy upside, is Malik Willis.
I do.
No other quarterback in this league can touch his upside.
Willis is my 2,
in my opinion.
Willis is my 2.
And that's not because I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a below average, Hurts, Lamar Jackson at best. But he's big, and he's got a big arm. But he's also not very good at throwing the football.
He's got a big arm. He can throw the football. He's got some zip. He's just got some things to work on. Well, just a little preview on what you're going to get out of our coverage.
Yeah.
You'll get this, an episode per position, basically. But, yeah, I do agree on
there's a reason why that they're trying to make the Josh Allen parallels.
Yeah.
He's not Josh Allen.
He's not.
He's not NFL Josh Allen. Prospect wise, yeah.
Yeah, not from what I saw, but I get it.
No. Yeah.
Matt Corral might actually be, well, he's a lot smaller. Anyway, more on that. More on that as we get into the actual draft stuff. But today we're looking back at the 2020 draft class. So we'll look at kind of what we got right, what we got wrong, and roll through some Dynasty outlooks there, and then we're going to do a rendition of Beerfield Reed's Rotoworld because, quite frankly, it's rumor season, it's wishful thinking season, so there's some funny stuff that has been floating around the internet. And
we do like funny stuff. That is true.
I didn't prepare for this episode at all, so we're straight raw dogging it. We also got to get in on some of the fantasy industry news that broke, but before we do that, as always, we're drinking.
What's fueling Beerfield?
Dan, you got a really big glass with what looks like not a really big beer in it.
No, yeah, it looks like there's no beer. It's like, oh, you already drank half of a 54-ounce glass, if not more. It's probably 72. Anyways, I am drinking Moontucky's Cold Snack. This is a Pilsner that's out of Montana. This is the unofficial beer of Montana. I stated on the can, 8% back to local causes, which is also great. One of my buddies asked the beer guy at Benny's to make sure that he keeps this in stock. So I decided, well, I wanted to drink something pretty light for the show because I wanted to drink out of this comically large glass. So here we are drinking a Pilsner from the brewery called Montucky. And the beer is called a Cold Snack.
Very nice. All right. And for me, I am drinking on St. Louis Brewery, Urban Chestnut. This is their Russian Imperial Stout called Thrails. 9% ABV. So no adjuncts or anything in this one. Just a straight Russian Imperial Stout. So
nice.
All right. Let's start with the news from the fantasy world. So all of this is alleged. Let's start off there.
It is all, yes, right.
Although Sleeper HQ has investigated one of the people involved in, straight up just kicked them the hell off the platform. So, Twitter at Huss the Prophet, Huss as he goes by, has apparently been scamming people in the name of charity. So, running a multitude of charity leagues, and so a couple people asked for receipts to see where the money was going, and he was either unable or unwilling to provide those receipts. So there were reports made to Sleeper, and Sleeper investigated it and booted him the hell off. It gets a little deeper than that. All money was being sent direct to him over PayPal. First and foremost, if you're playing in leagues with people you don't really know, that's a red flag right there. This is the reason places like League Safe exist, or that Sleeper is either has or is working on the ability to pay direct in the app. A lot of the charity leagues centered around a signed item giveaway. We saw some of the pictures of some of the jerseys that were definitely off Pristine Auction. So, for those of you that don't know, Pristine Auction is a great site, but you're not getting licensed stuff, and you're typically getting a lot of the signed stuff. While it's authentic signatures and everything, you're getting it at a steep discount. So he's got 12-person leagues at $100 buy-in is $1,200 with a $20 jersey giveaway, $30 jersey giveaway, whatever, claiming he's losing money through a memorabilia business. Screenshots of that one, too, by doing those giveaways. And no idea where the money went. So
a little more context to this. So he's doing this, as you said, based around these jersey leagues. There's 150 of these leagues. This has been going on I think. So it says about 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, at least 5 years, I think, is what I saw in the comment thread.
Yeah. It's about 4 to 5 years, 150 plus, or right around their total leagues. Buy-ins are ranging between $65 and $100. And obviously, with all this being alleged and with a lot of he said, she said, Huss was a moderator for Sleeper. He's been around since beginning of it. And apparently a lot of this is after he was told to stop doing this on the app, I believe, too, because he used to promote it. Sleeper told him to stop it. And then he did it anyways, I think on its own, or just something like it was supposed to be sponsored, something about it. And yeah, it's pretty sketchy. And the fact that he also, him and Miss Smalls also are the ones that do the draft night out, which is, I think, a sponsored paid event for the FF Expo. So, and yeah, it's not a great look. The fact that this community, this space really prides itself on the charitable side of things. You know, most notably Scott Fish and the Scott Fish Bowl and and the Fantasy Cares Foundation that's been created through this space is absolutely incredible. And then you get somebody like Huss who's allegedly doing and scamming, people upwards to $100,000, effectively scamming charities because he's not donating to them. It's not good, as they say, not good.
Yeah, it's not good. He also apparently had some involvement with Draft Night Out and the FF Expo.
I just said that.
Sorry. I was reading it I'm reading through the retweets
while
you're talking. So, let's see.
And if you're on Twitter, you can probably find a long thread that's been posted about it. And not as much. It's not as talked about as much, I guess, when it's,
so
it's not, it hasn't been blowing up to the extent I thought it would.
No, because it's mostly going to impact people in the industry. I mean, it's blowing up, don't get me wrong. But a bunch of his league mates decide to come forward. It's like, it's not one of those things where defrauding charity, it doesn't have the same movement behind it as racism and sexual assault. So it's not blowing up as much from a humanitarian level as I think some of the other people that have been busted out do.
Yeah.
It's still bad. Draft night out, let's see. Eat Sleep FF going to handle 100% of the finances, which apparently is what was going on before. Operations partner, nothing about him staying, going, whatever. I don't know. I feel more disconnected from this community every day.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more, and now it's becoming obviously more reasons why a lot of the older OGs are stepping out more and more.
Kind of doing their own thing, bowing out of a lot of these, compilation efforts and stuff because of this. And I won't mention it. I know you kind of said we don't need to, but I'm going to. Just because I feel like there was too much of a free pass for last misdeeds. Steffi Smalls also caught up in this one. Now, there is zero evidence. I'll be very upfront with this. There's zero evidence that says that she knew what Huss was allegedly doing and was any more than just a partner. Huss had approached us before to be partners with this stuff at one point, or on some things at one point back several years ago. And there was something Nick didn't like, and we ended up declining that. I think Nick didn't like it. For some reason, we ended up declining it. Didn't feel right about it. But
there's multiple times that myself and Nick were approached, whether it be when we were at the Go Fantasy in Fort Worth, or for through DMs on various social platforms. So thankfully, our keen sense, our Spidey sense, went off.
Yeah,
but it's just sad that it just happened to be this.
Steffi helped recruit membership. Had a promo code for it, which is really weird that there's a promo code for charity leagues, because why do you need to track? Promo codes, for those that don't know, by the way, are tracked to, and it's so important for podcasters that you use them because they're designed to track the business's benefit from advertising with you and directly quantify what level of sales you brought to that business or that product. It's not just to give you a discount, but those codes are also tracked to tell the business we got this much value out of advertising with this person, or sometimes there's deals worked out around you get a percentage of what you sell. What drives there. And for there to be a promo code associated with that tells me that there were probably, if not kickbacks, at least some tracking around marketing value there. So, and free marketing, right? You don't track that shit because all free advice is good advice, right? But
Yep.
There's probably some money involved there, which is really weird for just charity. You can hide that as an operating expense, and I guess that's fine if you're saying all proceeds go to, right? But in any event, yeah, she was advertising for this too. No evidence that she knew what was going on in the background. No, I'm purely speculating based on the existence of a promo code, what that led to. Only being mentioned here because, quite frankly, she shouldn't have taken a break from Twitter for a week and then completely forgiven for the shit that she did. So, there you go. Sorry,
basically.
Might have been 2 weeks. Pardon me. I need to think about what I did till it's long enough for the heat to die down, then immediately shows back up. Fucking sickening. I can promise you guys this, though. Dan and I, we're real journalists. We've been on the phone with Sleeper HQ to get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, man. It was, we even got to talk to their lawyer team. We were told that it's none of our business, but then we were like, wait, hey.
I'm in the industry.
I'm in the industry, bro.
I'm in the industry, dude.
Have you not heard of Beerfield Podcast?
I
'Cause
got
I'm telling
this.
you, man, they're going to blow up soon.
Right.
It's only taken 375 episodes. We're going to fucking get there, okay?
Hey, we were larger at one
We were
point.
there once.
Anyway,
we cared once.
on to the real news. Alvin Kamara punched a guy. We talked about that last week. Apparently, it was a Chiefs cornerback that was with them, so he's been arrested on felony charges. What else do we got? Kevin O'Connell officially hired, which it seems like that took forever.
Well, they wanted to wait. I think they were trying to be respectful to to him, winning the Super Bowl. And I think I wouldn't be shocked because there's other coordinators he brought over. There's a long list of, right after the O'Connell signing, there's bringing in his old staff and stuff. So,
yep. Kirk Cousins expected to remain the Vikings quarterback, although there has been rumors of interest from Deshaun Watson. Just making sure we cover every angle here.
yeah. And for those of, for the Vikings fans out there, look, new head coach, new GM is not going to go out there and talk shit about your quarterback. Say, it's a vote of confidence for them to say we're going to stick with Kirk Cousins. It does not absolutely mean there's no shape and way that they will not trade Kirk Cousins. So just calm down. People out there thinking that it's 100% guaranteed that he's going to be the Vikings quarterback week 1. You don't think he will.
Beat writer Mark Caboli believes the Steelers should take a peek at impending free agent Marcus Mariota. Well, yeah, they should. They should take a peek at every quarterback because they need one. And their defense is in a win-now window. So, I mean, I can tell you from watching this draft class that, there's not really anybody not named Kenny Pickett that I really like as a day one starter. Or potentially even a year one starter. So, you better go out and pick up your premium tier free agents and, sniff around some of these higher end backups like Trubisky or Mariota that are going to be free agents, or even, not backups like Jameis Winston and Teddy Bridgewater, and figure your shit out.
Yeah, it's not a class to be praying you hit on a franchise QB. Though one of these guys will probably end up being
I mean, there's
a hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys that are firmly in the could be category that have traits that play. It's just, will they?
I'll say this: it could range from 2 first-round QBs, 1 or 2 to potentially 6. Like there's, the range is fucking large.
The range of outcomes.
There's a lot of good QB. There's a lot of good QB2 journeyman quarterbacks.
Yes,
I'll say that.
Let's see. Nope, nothing else there. Tom Clements, I guess.
Yeah,
There's
I'm going through.
on there. The Bucs have done a ton of work looking into a Russell Wilson acquisition, as they should. Ditto for what I just. They're in a win now window. They don't have a quarterback. Everything I just said for the Steelers, pick up, rinse, and repeat.
And not oddly enough, Sean Watson naming the Bucs as a potential candidate.
Of course,
Watson doesn't have a no trade clause, so he does get to kind of pick and choose what he accepts, what he'll waive the no clause for. So Zach Taylor extended through 2022 to 2026.
Yeah, when you make the Super Bowl, that'll happen.
Yep,
he should have been. Look, you oversee the rebuild, turn it around in 2 years, make a Super Bowl ahead of schedule. and I would consider that ahead of schedule because, I mean, the line wasn't worthy of a
Yeah,
Super
I mean,
Bowl,
yeah.
and the defense overperformed. Yeah, no, you deserve that.
Regardless of how you feel about him as an actual head coach, he did it. He did all this within 2 years.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Saints are retaining Pete Carmichael. Let's see. Aaron Donald going to continue his playing career. Yeah, that was a weird report at the beginning of the Super Bowl that he might retire.
There's been I don't know how real the rumors are, but Sean McVay mulling retirement, which makes no fucking sense because he's 36 years old and just won a Super Bowl. Yeah. His 5th year as a head coach. It's fucking impressive.
Seahawks signed Darwin Thompson. Remember when he was a thing?
Who?
Darwin Thompson.
Who?
That running back everybody thought was going to hit with the Chiefs.
Oh.
You remember him from 2 years ago?
Darrell Williams?
No.
I know what you're talking about. It's being facetious.
Shut up. MCL sprain for Burrow. Took a weird hit.
It looked rough, man.
Second to last drive. Looked rough. Looked like it was going to be bad.
Between him and Stafford, man, I think it was within like 2 series, wasn't it?
It was.
It's like we almost lost both quarterbacks in the third quarter.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get backups. Adrian Peterson not facing felony domestic violence charges following his arrest on Sunday, but there was still a domestic violence arrest. He's got to be done.
I had no clue that this even happened. That's how fucking sad it's gotten. Where a repeat offender, he didn't beat his wife. He beat his kid.
Ashley said that at no point did Peterson hit her. They got into an altercation. He grabbed the ring off of her finger, leaving a scratch. And the state of California pressed the charge.
Well, either way, he probably made a pretty aggressive move, towards her that.
I mean, it's
got. Result in physical violence, but easily mental.
Let's think about this for a second, though, right? Have you ever tried to grab the ring off of somebody's finger? That's
not. Yeah, that shit ain't coming off like butter, bro.
Dolphins looking to hire Darrell Bevell as their pass game coordinator.
Okay.
He did all right with Jacksonville there at the end. I mean, they looked better than they did under Urban Meyer, I guess.
That's right. He was with Jacksonville. That's true. I mean, it couldn't have gotten much worse.
Yeah, he was the interim head coach, so.
That's right.
Kyler Murray refused to go back into the team's playoff loss to the Rams in the fourth quarter.
This
saga is interesting.
It's I don't give two shits about the social media thing, but the reports coming out from some of the assistant coaches talking about Murray's, I guess, nonverbal kind of body language. It's
leadership stuff.
And there's other things coming out, through various times. Look, he's young. He just suffered, another pretty agonizing loss after a pretty brutally bad game by him. Like, I'm not saying he's not at fault here. I'm gonna give him a pass on this one. He was pissed. The game was out of reach. I won't say pass.
I don't think he gets a pass, but he's got to learn from it and grow. And the Cardinals seem to be willing to let him do that, and his teammates seem to be nurturing of that. And even Murray says he regretted the social media scrubbing, like maybe he's realizing that. It's just something that he's got to grow up from. It doesn't affect the on-field play, and it doesn't affect his outlook at this point. So,
and there's no fucking way the Cardinals, who have made multiple moves to give him veteran pass catchers, that they're just going to let him go willingly. I mean, he's still a top 7 quarterback in the league and is one of the most sought after build around pieces. He's not being moved on from. I mean, unless something big comes out like Deshaun Watson bad, there's no way he's being moved on from. This is just noise at this point.
It is, and you're going to see a lot of that filling the offseason. Allen Robinson not expected back with the Bears because no shit.
Shocking. It's about as shocking as Marquise Brown not retiring.
Mike McDaniel said that he would start Jalen Waddle in fantasy. Yeah.
God, and people ate that out. You're like, there's Jalen Waddle to the moon now, guys. No, new head coach is not going to hype up his best offensive player.
You would
Jesus fucking
you should have been
Christ, man.
starting Jalen Waddle in fantasy all last year too, regardless of what he says.
Yeah, I think by like week 2 or 3, proved pretty obvious that Waddle was going to become an every week starter.
Yeah,
I mean, the Dolphins told us pretty fucking early that they want to get him involved early and often.
Let's see. Bill's going to focus on protecting Josh Allen. Good, although he doesn't need it as bad as some other quarterbacks do that might be less mobile and smaller. Joe Burrow.
Just stop fucking giving him draws. Just stop running him. Let the man do what he needs to do. Just don't run them. Just don't design run him. That's one way.
Let's see. Colts. A lot of rumors around the Colts looking to move on from Carson Wentz if they can, but they're saddled with that contract, so.
Well, he got traded before with that same contract. I doubt it'll happen again.
I don't think anybody's done. They're stuck with that one.
No. Sucks for them.
Let's see. Metcalf removed getting a screw removed. Asking for a return to the Rams for the 2022 season. Sean McVay said, "We'll see."
Jesus, this is my favorite and least favorite time of the year for news because of all the because it's so quiet.
So
people just everything up,
and I bet that some of these guys are just fucking with the media.
Oh God, yeah, I would.
I would
blast.
Just write whatever you want.
Someone gave a percentage chance. Kirk Cousins has a 25% chance of being traded. Really? 25%? I would give it 50-50 because it's a yes or a no when they get asked.
Mike Pettin to the Vikings. Odell Beckham tore his ACL again in the Super Bowl. This was sad to watch because bounced around, tumultuous stay in Cleveland on the comeback trail, and then you knew when you saw the. I mean,
dude, yeah.
I think I texted you immediately and said that was non-contact. It was bad.
I feel Odell gets a lot of shit, and I think a lot of it is definitely deserved. He's earned his right to be considered one of the more diva, players over the last 20 years. But all the dude wanted to do was just play football in a system that works for them. He worked his way up. He got there, and he was going on to have probably a pretty fucking good Super Bowl. He already scored a touchdown. And you see this. It's just, oof.
Peak off season. You ready? You sitting down?
I hope so. Hold on.
The Athletics' Ted Wynn said Raiders head coach Josh McDaniels could emphasize the screen passing game in 2022.
We're going to get screen passes to Deshaun Jackson? The Hunter Renfro?
Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs?
I mean, look.
Kenyon Drake?
This is where we're at in the news cycle.
Nice.
This concept is a staple in every NFL offense. Yeah, it's going to be used here. That's where we're at.
That's like asking a defensive corner. Yeah, we might implement the blitz. I don't know, maybe.
Running back screens are the the third thing that go in your playbook right after all nines and a run up the middle.
A power eye.
Right.
Yeah. Well, with your 275-pound fullback.
Brian Flores adding the Texans to his lawsuit alleging discriminatory hiring practices. The team that just hired 2 black head coaches in back-to-back seasons. But the Texans suck, so do it.
Yeah. Now we're to the Super Bowl. Stuff.
And Stephen Ross. Yeah, I think we're done now.
Yeah.
Stephen Ross could be forced to sell the team. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're not forcing Dan Snyder to tell the team. If they force Stephen Ross to sell the team because of tanking allegations, the NFL is literally telling you that they value the game more than they value the well-being of the people in the offices and the culture that they're establishing. If Stephen Ross is forced to sell, but Dan Snyder was not.
We all know Dan Snyder's got incriminating evidence
against everyone.
Roger Goodell. He hired a private PI to take pictures of Goodell in very submissive situations in a private hotel room, like in every fucking movie about this.
All right, you ready to get into some of this?
Let's do. I'm more excited about this class than 2019. At least 2020 has given us it's given us some stuff.
All right, I'll kind of work through it, not in order of draft, but in order of relevance right now. So let's go with your let's start with your current starters. So it's gonna be Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts are your current starters from this. And I think going into this, those are the four that we really expected to be starters. I mean,
Hurts took a bit because of being a second rounder, and just because there wasn't any rumblings of him, like it wasn't as much rumblings of him as a first round pick. We were all very hopeful, you and I especially, because we were trying to pound the table for him. To be transparent, we both had him ahead of Justin Herbert, pre-draft. So we definitely wanted to see Hurts be taken in the first round.
Yeah, I did think that Hurts should have went first round. He didn't, but you know what? This is exactly what I expected out of this class. It is these four would at least get starting jobs. Now, Joe Burrow obviously has cemented himself as the best quarterback in this class right now, just barely over Justin Herbert, though. So this is one where we definitely got two studs out of this.
Yeah, I mean they're both. I mean, if we're talking, especially for fantasy, they're both a part of my top 6, which is my top tier.
Yep.
In Dynasty for sure, and they're all. I mean, everything's side of Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson. They're all relatively interchangeable for me.
Well,
and those are like subsections in my tiers because it's all one big tier.
Yeah, and they're kind of similar, right? They both are getting it done through the passing game, through good volume. Burrow actually has a lot more weapons than what Herbert does when you break it down.
That's why he's slightly over.
That's why he's slightly higher. Higher. Herbert's a little bit better protected, but I mean, those two guys, I think they're locked and loaded as top 7 dynasty quarterbacks, regardless how you slice it, and are going to be, playing for years to come. The two guys we're less sure about their longevity are going to be Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. A lot of rumors seem to be swirling around Tua in Miami. He's been, hurt. He's looked average or slightly above average for parts of a couple seasons. He's looked below average a couple times. So, what do you make of Tua long term? Is he going to be carve himself out in Miami? Is he destined to just kind of flounder around a Derek Carr level of performance, which is what I think about a quarterback that is good enough to stay a starter for a team but doesn't really move the needle at all?
I think it is there. I think he'll easily be the Dolphins starter through his rookie contract. He's led them to near playoff performance or to near playoff berths, every year. This is a team that's also in the midst of a rebuild. They just fired the head coach. That's the only big concern is what does McDaniels do now? If Tua doesn't, like, his lease is obviously shortened when you lose your head coach that brought you in, that helped bring you in, that helped, develop you along with his own coaching staff. There is some risk there, but Tua's done so much, and I think he's going to be good enough. He's basically he's better Teddy, right? He's going to be smart with the football. He's going to have his games, but he's not, at least not now. He's not that 302 guy. No. He's not going out there and because he's not going to get rushing volume that's going to propel him the same way that Jalen Hurts does. To offset some of his poor passing performances. Tua's a new age game manager, and I think we just have to accept that.
I mean, yeah, middle of the pack in in pass plays per game, 30th in air yards. And I have to see, this is going to be the one thing that's going to be interesting to see with the Dolphins in general. I've talked about it a bit with Waddle and his low ADOT, is do they try to stretch this offense a little bit more? What does Mike McDaniel try to do with this offense? What do they do personnel-wise? Are they going to put more into the running game and, maybe fall off of that even being top third of the league in pass plays? Or, do they try to open it up a little bit more with more, mid-field stretching concepts, that type of thing? Because, everything else is good, but 30th in air yards and 27th in passing yards, that's not what you want to see. But what is good for Tua, third in accuracy rating, that'll come off a little bit as you start to throw further down the field. But that, him being that high tells me that, yeah, you can afford to open this up a little bit. He's number one in deep ball completion percentage. Or tied at 50%. I don't know how many attempts, but they're there. 10th in pressured completion, 4th in play action, 1st in red zone, 10th in clean pocket. I mean, he's a top third quarterback in all of your accuracy metrics. So there are definitely things there that say you could stretch the field a little bit more, and there is a higher ceiling there for Tua than what we've seen. I don't advocate a buy. I don't think he's going to hit, Burrow or Herbert levels of stud. But this is a guy that I think the ceiling is probably in that, QB 10 to QB 14 range, probably. Ceiling. So,
yeah,
it's going to be interesting. This is going to be a big year under the new structure to see what they do offensively and what they do personnel-wise. Do they bring somebody in to complement Waddle? Do they put a lot of their resources into the run game? It'll be interesting to watch for Tua.
Yeah, he's a really good super flex QB. He's not someone you're pounding the table for in single QB leagues, but as your second QB in super flex leagues or as your QB3, he's going to bring safeties. He's going to protect the football, to an extent, and he's not going to get you the negatives, especially if you're playing in a heavy negative league scoring. He just doesn't have the upside that we want.
Yep.
On the Hurts.
Yeah. On the flip side, Hurts has a ton of upside, but the underlying stuff isn't quite as pretty. I mean, the legs are there and the floor is there, and he gives you a rushing floor. As a passer, the underlying stuff isn't as pretty. It's not all bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite as pretty. And Hurts, I think, is a little bit more volatile of an asset. Talking about him like stocks, it's a little more volatile of an asset, where the upside is definitely more, but he is a guy that they could decide to, especially without the draft capital and everything there, that they could decide to move on from.
What the Eagles do in the first round is going to be very telling with, I think, how they view Hurts. I know the Eagles had a very soft second half of the schedule to get to the playoffs. Getting to the playoffs is still very difficult to do. It's not like, the Eagles have a great team also. They have 3 first-round picks, and they have Hurts at least has the ability to get them to this, to get them to this plateau. The way that Lamar Jackson did, where it times doesn't look pretty, but he gets it done. He finds ways to extend drives and score touchdowns. You just hope that the efficiency can go up. He was a 7th in money throws. So there's definitely things to build around. Obviously, top 5 in danger plays and interceptable passes. The dude's taking shots. It's what we want to see, right?
And his receivers are getting open, though, too. And, they were 7th in target separation, but you still, those completion percentages being bottom half of the league is not what you want to see. And that's the difference.
He's still, he obviously needs to improve. But what the Eagles do will at least kind of help calm the nerves of Jalen Hurts dynasty, people like myself who has a lot of them. And, to kind of get a sense of if he is of that 3 to 5 year plus window, or if he's gone in a couple years, or if he does get traded. I mean, the Eagles are still heavily involved in trade rumors, Wilson and Watson. So,
yeah,
we'll see. I think either way, I think Hurts is at least started for 2 more years. I think Eagles will at least, or whatever team will at least want to want him to play out his rookie deal, and
they have so many holes to fill that there's no.
It makes yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, with draft capital and everything else, you need wide receivers. You need a lot. You got an aging O-line and Jason Kelsey talking retirement. The defense are performed, but you got to get some hitters there. I mean, the Eagles need help, and they don't have.
They need a lot.
Yeah. Other quarterbacks in this draft class: Jordan Love, most surprising, going in round 1.
Maybe he'll start this year. I mean,
it sounds like they're trying to go all in to bring Rodgers back.
Yeah, there's been conflicting reports. People, there was a report not too long ago saying that players on the team have known for a while that Rodgers isn't coming back, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. It's going to be a very interesting offseason.
Yes.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yes, it is. But, the fact of this one is that you are now, you're 2 years in, and you got nothing, no value whatsoever out of that first-round pick.
And he's not even worth the first now. So, even if they were to try to move him, I don't think there's a team in the NFL that would trade a first-round pick for him.
I don't think there is either. Not a sample size there. Your other guys, Jacob Easton was a guy that, we didn't expect to start, but if there was going to be a surprise, we had kind of pegged him for that. He's had some cracks and some daylights of opportunity that he's not been able to take advantage of. Jake Fromm, 5th-round pick, got a start that was absolutely god-awful.
Oh, God, it was rough.
Jake Luton, Cole McDonald, and Ben DiNucci. Ben DiNucci, backing up for Dallas, also has not had a great go at things there. So, I mean, the guys we expected to – this class was pretty cut and dry. The guys that we expected to be good were good. The guys that we didn't expect to be good weren't. So, that's the quarterback side of it.
Yep.
All right, running back side of this. I will go through this in order of draft. So we'll start up at the top here.
Okay.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire going in the first round, and then your second rounders are Cam Akers, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift, and J.K. Dobbins, and A.J. Dillon. So a lot of second-round backs here. But your first rounder in Edwards-Helaire hasn't really managed to get it done. We've seen Darrell Williams produce here. We've seen Derek Gore produce here. Saw Jerick McKinnon look like shades of his old self in the playoffs. And Edwards-Helaire has just not been able to parlay that into much of anything the first couple of years.
True. But he's still going to be a part of this offense. I know draft capital may not matter 3 years into your year, but he's still a part of the original team that took him. He's still going to be a part of this offense. He's honestly going to be kind of where Josh Jacobs was. Not to that extent, because Jacobs is still going to be taken higher during his third year. But I think people are overvaluing. I think they're overextending on just how much he won't lose going into next season. And we know the Chiefs are not going to spend another day 1 or day 2 pick on a running back. At least I hope not.
Well,
with the amount of issues they have.
He'll be there, but I think what they've shown is they don't have to do that either, because the just guys that you're bringing in, Jerick McKinnon, 2 years removed from playing meaningful football, Darrell Williams and Derek Gore looking better than Helaire in this offense is telling, right?
I'm not saying you're going out there and spending a top 3 draft pick. I think he's going to end up as a 5th or 6th round pick.
I think so too.
And there's going to be upside, to those rounds where you can stomach, maybe the risk you're taking with your RB3
like
or
Fournette
RB4
was last year.
Yeah, it's
the same concept.
It's not like he hasn't not been productive ever. It's just for whatever it's worth, the Chiefs just don't like using him, and
he's never been able to string it together consistently either. There's productive games. I mean, he had 2 games over 100 scrimmage yards and 1 multi-touchdown game this year. It's not what you want to see, but those games are still happening. It's just he's never been able to string it together consistently in this offense, or looked as good as he should have been able to look in this offense. He's not a guy you're trading for, and he is a guy that if he hits this year, nearing the end of his first contract with consistency problems. This is one where you're watching those ads. You're looking for a sale, but you're the seller.
Yeah, and everyone feels this way. But again, everyone's got different values and how they view them. So as soon as Hilaire he starts the season probably as a starter. They're gonna have a whole crew of new backups. And he strings off 2 or 3 games in a row. Throw him on there. Yep. Unless you're a championship team, then you want to hold on to the depth. But
yep,
at this point,
yeah. Next 2 guys though, kind of a different story. I think they've been mostly what you'd hope they'd be. I think Jonathan Taylor's been like everything and more that you could hope for out of him, and I think DeAndre Swift has been, kind of as advertised when he landed in Detroit. You knew that he's talented. You knew that being in Detroit would present some unique challenges.
You gotta love Swift now, right? So, Swift and ETM playing on bad teams that are going to be playing from behind with the pass catching skill set that they have.
Yeah, and
especially with Swift, who's already proven to be utilized in this offense. Not much is going to change. They'll definitely add talent, but even with them winning only just a couple games, they even played above their own level.
They did,
and you can't expect to see much more wins. You're going to expect to see the same amount of playing from behind, if not more. As long as Swift can stay healthy, which has been his biggest concern, is his durability.
Yeah,
he is he's got top 3 upside.
He was
just because of the target volume.
He was very consistent before he got hurt too, and that's what you want to see. And then Jonathan Taylor's been otherworldly. I mean, as Derrick Henry, a big man, comes back from a foot injury, that is Jonathan Taylor pretty much is new Derrick Henry.
He is in most people's minds a Dynasty RB1, which he should
be.
And there'll be arguments on if you take him in the first round or not first round, first pick overall in redraft leagues. I'm not, but that's because I want my pass catching upside. But
and he does.
In terms of Dynasty, Taylor is easily 101. Yeah, maybe at least RB1. Maybe not 101, but definitely RB1.
Next 2 guys kind of offset by injuries. Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins. Akers had the Achilles injury, came back in a remarkable amount of time and still looked ineffective. I've never liked Cam Akers, so I have to kind of abstain a little here. I thought that he was fool's gold, and he had some big games last season and then spent this season hurt, struggled getting back on the field. I think the jury's very, very much still out on that, and he's almost got to be a hold.
I mean, you're not doing anything with them. I mean, thankfully, it sounds like the value heatness has kind of cooled off. I know on the fan or on the user, on that KTC site that's all user driven, based on their ADP, has kind of cooled down a lot. So the community as a whole is kind of calmed, which has helped. But he's one of the few backs that's going to command the amount of opportunity share just coming off of right after his Achilles injuries. Already impressive. He'll be polarizing just because of that. He's going to be overdrafted in probably every league because there'll be one guy who wants to take that risk, and I understand. I mean, he's still tethered to a top 5 offense, and he's already part of a team that's more than willing to give him the majority of the running back touches, which is ultimately what we want in redraft, right? Volume is king.
It is, and they're another one that it's going to be interesting to see what they do with, Michelle becoming a free agent, and then I think Darrell Henderson also.
No, he's got one more year. He's going into his 4th year.
Got it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to supplement this backfield, though.
Yep. No, I agree.
J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins has been hurt. We haven't really gotten to see J.K. Dobbins.
It's been so, I know that I liked him more, and I love him in this offense. But you're right. You and I have talked about this. I think we talked about it a lot last week or maybe 2 weeks ago.
We did.
The unknown, of the Ravens backfield. It's, you can make a case for both Dobbins and Edwards and their value and what that truly looks like.
Oh, we got into it when we talked about Justice Hill. from
Justice Hill. Yeah, so
the 19 class
last week.
So,
yeah. I depends where Dobbins his ADP ends up in redraft. He doesn't catch passes though, right? It's kind of like Nick Chubb.
Well, he doesn't do anything because he hasn't been able to
he
stay on the
hasn't
field.
been healthy. Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of rushing. Like, he got the rushing yards upside just because he's tethered to a great rushing offense. But he also doesn't catch passes. So, I mean, how much of a value do you want to put into him on top of coming back from this injury and on top of Gus Edwards also returning?
Right. Yeah. Hey, I mean, it's tough. He seems to me like it is a lottery ticket, but you're going to have to kick the tires and see what the current asking price is for J.K. Dobbins. You know, the owner could be sick. Manager could be sick of it. Corrected myself.
Thank you.
That's one of those things that we're trying to work on, not using buy, sell, owner. It's been ingrained in what we've done for 300 episodes, so we're going to slip up every now and again.
Yeah, we're trying to
be mindful, at least be mindful of it.
Yeah.
But J.K. Dobbins is, recency bias being what it is, right? You might be able to get a high upside player for close to or next to nothing, especially depending on what the Ravens do in the offseason and the draft, which I'd imagine is nothing given the glut of people that they have there. So, people are going to be scared off by the fact that backfield is going to be crowded. Don't forget, you've got Tyson Williams, too.
I mean,
it is very.
He got supplanted by two old over the hill running backs, including like Le'Veon Bell and shit. Like,
right?
They did him dirty. He deserved better, but
I thought he went on IR too. But anyway,
yeah, sorry.
It's going to be crowded. So
yeah, it will be.
You probably can get discount J.K. Dobbins, and it's still a high upside player. So just be mindful of that and be aware of that. And if you're a rebuilding team that's after backs and maybe you got a surplus of picks, I mean, look, J.K. Dobbins to me is just as good as probably any back you're going to get towards the back of the second right now. It's just as much of a chance of hitting. So
yeah, he's definitely worth the risk.
Talking about second rookie draft, by the way, not.
No. God, he'll be. I think after the top two. I mean, right now it's rumblings of who the top two backs are in this draft. Dobbins is would easily be part of that.
I'll let you know in a week,
and we'll talk about that when it happens.
Yeah, couldn't tell you right now. Antonio Gibson, AJ Dillon. Gibson obviously has cemented himself as a starter in Washington for the Commanders. That's going to take some getting used to. And then AJ Dillon has been splitting with Aaron Jones.
I wonder what Green Bay is going to do with Jones. Jones just got paid, and if Rodgers does leave, I think that's going to potentially lead to a more run focus, grind him down. Maybe the old thunder and lightning. I still like Dillon. He's been successful in this, with this offense. If Rodgers leaves, obviously scoring upside will go down. But I mean, he's perfect fit for the elements there. And if they decide to go run heavy, I mean, the guy he is your young Derrick Henry.
Yeah. And he could be. I mean, Henry was a later breakout, right? Because he was constantly in split backfields. So that is something to keep in mind with Dillon is if he doesn't put a lot of wear and tear on himself, but proves valuable in kind of that split role, he'll eventually get a shot on the right team. Antonio Gibson, I think you could make an argument for he's the running. I don't think it's much of an argument, actually. He's the third best running back out of this class behind Swift and Taylor.
Yeah, you can definitely make that argument. Just like with with Swift and now with Akers and Dobbins, his durability. Can Gibson, continue to hold up? Multiple injuries in his first two seasons. It's caused him to miss some games. I'm not that concerned
because he's been banged up. He has missed 2 games, both from a toe sprain in 2020. But
it's again, running backs are a crapshoot, especially in redraft. So you're just hoping to hit. You're going for ceiling. if half these guys are going to get hurt, you better start reaching for the upside picks. And Gibson, who has a 3-down skill set and a size that he should be able to handle it.
And the underlying metrics are good. Yards per route run is top 15, 8th in breakaway runs, evaded tackles and juke rate. He's, 5th in evaded tackles, 17th in juke rate. Creating for yourself and the things that you want to see are absolutely there. The catch rate's good. Fantasy points per game's up there. He's been very consistent. He gets touchdown and goal line work. He doesn't have the name cachet, if you will, that you're getting out of Swift and Jonathan Taylor. But, I mean, from a productivity standpoint and an outlook standpoint, he's right up there with Swift. I think that if you were to tear off this draft class, they're right there together.
Yeah, I mean, and like even during the process, I mean, Gibson was always talked about as that, like, if you're going for your home run pick, it's got to be Gibson. 6'1", over 225 pounds. He's 6', 228. Excuse me. And with his receiving upside that he got from Memphis, or when he played in Memphis in college, I mean, it was always there. It was whether or not he could actually, become an every down back. And as long as he can survive, I guess, J.D. McKissick, who for some reason keeps commanding targets. It's Gibson. It has top 3 to 5 running back upside. Like, he's that good, like, as a whole, not just in its class, but as a whole. I mean, that's been his upside since year 2, since his pass off season, after he showed us that in his rookie season.
Sure. All right, other guys, I think this next tier is pretty well termed. We thought, and these two they're heavily debated on this show too. Not by us necessarily.
Oh, love my misspelled last. God, I should repeat.
But they're kind of going different directions in Keyshawn Vaughn and Zach Moss, where Zach Moss got relegated behind Devin Singletary at a healthy scratch and bench duty, and the team seemingly lost faith in him. With Fournette out during the stretch run, Keyshawn Vaughn got some play. He looked decent. He looked good. Fournette's a free agent.
Vaughn, it's got to be someone you're trying to just throw in your deals, right? He's probably been dropped in some leagues. Look, we liked him coming out.
Liked him a lot.
He's got an every down skill set, and he plays for a notoriously hated rookie of rookies. With Bruce Arians as his head coach. There's a championship roster. He got off to a slow start. I think he also got COVID. He was just put behind. And when you have a team who won a Super Bowl and is vying to get another one in this past season, Vaughn just got, put out the pasture, for those times. And he might be that late round, or that late career, not late career, but that, little later into the rookie career, to break out. And if Tampa Bay can go out there and give himself a quarterback to make this offense just as good as it was this past season, I mean, he's got scoring upside, and he's also a pretty good pass catcher.
And the running back room could clear out too, with Fournette and Ronald Jones both being ticketed for free agency. So
I'll have to look a little harder into the salary cap, but I don't see either of them coming back. I think Fournette might just command more, especially with Brady gone. I think it might. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs just clean shop with some other.
Fournette's going to command a role wherever he lands, because he was great in that offense.
Buffalo.
Maybe he does, but yeah.
I'm getting a beer. I'll be right back.
Okay. As much as I want to wait for Dan to get back to go through this last group, we'll go ahead and go through this last group because there's not a lot to talk about here. Darrington Evans, back up in Tennessee, still on the roster, hasn't really shown a whole lot. Joshua Kelly flashed a bit with L.A. to begin his career and then really fell off. Same Michael Pirine is kind of the only guy with the Jets. Anthony McFarland, DJ Dallas, Jason Huntley, Benjamin, Raymond Calais, and Malcolm Perry have all not produced. So Basically, anything below that Keyshawn Mon, Zach Moss pick has not done anything, and I think you can.
Well, we got one running back we can maybe talk about.
James Robinson.
James Robinson, maybe.
Yeah,
I mean he got Philip Lindsay'd.
He has been,
and I think he's better than Lindsay, but we'll see what Doug Peterson wants to do with his double backfield.
We saw in Philly where he will use more than one back. It's very possible Robinson and Etienne both have roles.
I mean, I think that's the ultimate hope. I
think it is too.
Is that Etienne will obviously be the more valuable fantasy asset because he will be their pass catching back. But Robinson can easily carve out potentially 150 plus carries, and if something were to happen to Etienne again, Robinson's one of the more valuable handcuffs that still has, his own standalone value.
Right.
And you do not trade him in Dynasty. You hold him.
No, hold him right now.
Because he's elite backup.
Yeah. All right, wide receivers. These are all over the place, actually. Hold on.
Beer review.
Thank God we don't have to talk about this tight end class at all.
I know. That'll be a very easy gloss over.
You're on your second beer, so obviously it was good.
I'm on my third beer.
So obviously it was
good.
I
pour, I mean, it's so, again, I'm drinking Montucky's Cold Snack. This is the unofficial beer of Montana. This is their lager. A little bit on the sweeter side. I likely do the malts that are being used, but it's a little bit biscuity, not very toasty, but it's sweet. It's got a nice little, clean finish, clean taste to it. It's I actually thoroughly enjoy it, especially for a beer that comes in 16 or a 16 or a 6-pack of 16-ounce cans. So you're getting already a good value if you're able to find this and pick it up. What is a really clean, easy drinking, light. It's got a sweeter, biscuity taste to it. Obviously, the head wise, it's it finishes with a quarter centimeter of white head there, but it's easily drinkable. And if you like this style, if you like lagers, as most of us do now, because we're fucking done with heavily adjunct beers.
Yep.
It's if you can find it, I highly recommend picking it up. It's a good choice.
All right, and I am drinking Urban Chestnuts Thrails. This is it actually came in a 4-pack I got at the firm Christmas party from my homebrew club. This is Russian Imperial Stout. Nice. It drinks like a Russian Imperial Stout. Look, I love Urban Chestnuts lagers and Weiss beers and everything. And Brent Teller, who works for them, really cool guy. But this one, it's roasty. It's got a little bit of chocolate to it. The alcohol is present in it, but it's warming, not harsh. Medium body, not super thick, not medium heavy body, I guess. Not super thick, not overly syrupy or cloying or anything like that. Kind of a long finish that lingers with just a nice, subtle coffee, chocolate, roasted notes. It's exactly what I'd expect from a UCBC beer, which is a very good representation of the style. Very, very solid. Doesn't knock your socks off necessarily, but just a great classic representation. So, solid job, Urban Chestnut.
I absolutely love. You go to the RIS, and I'm glad more places are putting them out there. I'm also starting to see a lot more dark lagers. I know it's that time of year to start seeing Dunkels and
Stubborn German.
I love them so much.
Has a Bohemian Pills that's dark.
Ooh, see, I'm not a huge. See, I have a love-hate relationship with Bohemian Pilsners, but
it's
dark version might be That might be interesting. Next time I'm in Waterloo.
Maybe it is a lager. It's incredible. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe next time I'm out in the Waterloo area, after they're open.
Yeah,
because I've missed them the last 2 times.
End your day
down there.
End your day.
Yeah,
there. It's delicious. Yeah. All right, wide receiver class. The NFL is all over the freaking place on this one, to say the least. We were less all over the place, actually. I think we're better than the NFL on this class.
I think most people were. And again, this is the Alabama tax that we jokingly talk about. It's very much real, though. Teams they'll pay extra. For Bama players. Regardless of what the profile will tell you, they will pay extra for Bama players.
Yeah, ranking it, I had Rager was actually stupid high.
He was my 2. I will not hide behind the fact that I got Rager on, but I also had Jefferson right below him.
I had
I was like the Eagles.
Yeah, Jefferson's there. It was Judy, Lamb, Jefferson up the top, then Rager, Mims, Chenault. At Higgins and Pittman that I missed on. And so what I did there, I can tell you what I did there, is I valued the upside of those 3 over the floor of the next 2, is what happened there. So I valued upside a little much, and Rager, Mims, Chenault, and floor not enough, in Higgins and Pittman.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment. It was just a way that I evaluated.
Well, that's who you are. I mean, you've always valued floor a little bit more than upside. So
I know. So I had them reversed here, though. I was valuing upside more than floor. Weirdly.
Yeah. I mean,
I think I might have overcorrected a little bit. Anyway.
I mean, you take those risks.
It's just a process review, right? That's why you go look back. Henry Ruggs is in jail for killing people, so now I really need to do a lot of analysis on that.
He's probably not coming back.
Jerry Jeudy was the second receiver off the board. So, yeah, we'll do this the same way. We'll look at the first round. So, you got Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson, and Brandon Ayuk all went in the first round. Ruggs is in jail. He's the first receiver off the board. Jerry Jeudy has underwhelmed the first 2 years, to say the least, by a lot.
By a lot, I think, yeah. I mean, he was easily propped up as to be the next. Between him and Ruggs, Lamb was in the same boat, but it was always between Lamb and Jeudy for most people's 1 and 2. And maybe Jeudy, on a different team, less weapons, not less weapons, but less target competition, and he stays healthy. And a little more accurate quarterback, who knows? But
the target competitions have really neutered that, and I think a lot of people were excited when Teddy got there, and you did get to see some of that, but then Jeudy got hurt, and then, it just, nobody was really getting peppered there with a ton of target volume, and, even with Drew Lock year before, I mean, Jeudy had his own problems. It wasn't all Lock. Jeudy had his own problems adjusting, so.
You're absolutely right. But I mean, I think he still has a chance to be a good number 2. I think he definitely still has fantasy upside, regardless of where the quarterback is. The dude does
it will be
route running extremely well.
Yeah,
he's a great separator, number 1 this year in target separation. You got to get yourself a little bit more, aggressive quarterback who wants to push it to him, and. Quarterback change here. He does fit well for rookie QBs because he does get open.
Which is going to happen now. So go make some offers for Jerry Jeudy before that happens. Because when whoever by trade ends up in Denver.
We say that. I'm going to pull up. You keep talking. I'm going to pull up DLF and see what current trades have been made for Jeudy.
Gotcha. Because whatever quarterback ends up in Denver is going to skyrocket Jerry Jeudy's value. Now, it's going to do the same for Cortland Sutton and probably Tim Patrick, who just got signed to long-term deals too. There is competition there. Don't get me wrong. But you just went offensive for your head coach. You're going to find ways to spread targets a little bit more, hopefully get the ball to these guys a little bit more. So Jeudy is a buy low or an acquire low. type of receiver for me.
All right. Here's some here's some recent deals. Trying to look for one that. So Judy and a 23 fifth round pick for looks like 3 second round picks between this year and next year. Here's one for you. Jerry Judy for Gabriel Davis and a 22 third round pick.
It's a pretty solid trade, actually.
And then we have right below it Jerry Judy for a 22 first round pick. Depending on where that first round lies, and I don't
depends on the first round. So Gabe Davis, because there's a lot with the picks that we don't know, like where they're at. So let's use Gabe Davis and that third rounder as the measuring stick here. I like that one. You're not far enough removed from the draft capital to say definitively that Gabe Davis has surpassed Jerry Judy in value. Jerry Judy still had the higher draft capital. He was still the more highly regarded prospect as much as I like Gabe Davis. That third rounder is basically a nothing burger, right? I mean, you can hit.
It's a throw-in piece.
But it's a throw-in piece at that point. That third rounder is going to be who's the late running back that landed in a good opportunity or wide receiver that landed in a good or that you liked and nobody else did. Or maybe you're going for a tight end or a quarterback there in single QB. But it's essentially a throw-in piece to acknowledge the fact that Judy was the more well-regarded prospect and you're only 2 years in. But Gabe Davis, with no Manny Sanders and no I think Smokey John Brown was there at one point, but no Manny Sanders being the biggest one.
He was. He was there first year.
Davis stands to see a bigger role, stands to be more involved, had a huge blow-up game in the playoffs, and, when we sit and do this class next year, we could very easily be talking about Gabe Davis as a, higher valued piece than what Jerry Judy is if you get another dud season out of him, but right now he's not. So I really like that value on both sides for that trade.
I don't know if I want to aim for Judy if I'm trying to move Davis. No, but I'm always trying to maximize. That's why Davis in a 1-for-1. This is essentially a 1-for-1 deal. You have Judy, just like you said, he's coming off of kind of disappointing seasons. He hasn't been able to stay healthy.
But if you still believe
the Broncos,
in him, that's a
low if you still believe in him, that's
to pay.
You're right, and you're getting a third on top of it, right?
Right.
For whatever that's worth, you're still getting another draft pick that could turn into, a lottery pick or help move for another player in a different trade. But
now let's be clear. I love Gabe Davis. I'm not making that trade. I'm heavily on the Gabe. I'm sticking with Gabe Davis in that scenario. But
I just wouldn't aim for Judy.
Yeah.
I don't particularly love the upside because he's still. I mean, we just saw, as you mentioned not too long ago, Son and Patrick both get re-signed. That does kind of tell you how Denver views their receiving core and whether or not Judy, and then we also, when we do talk about KJ Hamler, how they view about them. There's still a lot of weapons here, and there's no certainty for quarterback future. Davis has his quarterback future.
Or pass volume, given the fact that this defense is still pretty decent. So
yeah. I have my own reserves on Davis. I'm not aiming for Judy. I'm going fucking higher.
Yeah.
Even in a 1, that's why I will easily tack on a first round, second round pick if I had Davis and go for the upper echelon receivers. I'm not stopping for Judy. It's almost like a side trade. Essentially, you're trading one upside, player, for a player who's downtrending. It doesn't make sense to me.
All right.
Even if you believe in Judy. Sorry.
No, you're good. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Dan.
CeeDee Lamb. Well, it's a deep draft. It's a deep receiver class. There's a lot to get to here. So CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, I can say this because I've done the analysis on both guys and the deep dive on both guys. He's real close to T. Higgins, and they were a full round and a half apart in this draft. And their careers so far have not been that far separated, and their underlying metrics are not that much different. That being said, CeeDee Lamb's in an offense that is going to throw 600-plus times and is on an offense where Amari Cooper figures to be on his way out of town, and Michael Gallup's a free agent to where he could easily be the top target here.
And they can't afford Dalton Schultz because this is a team that's bottom 3 in
cap space
and salary cap right now.
Right. So, I mean, he could easily be the top guy here by the time it's all said and done. I like Ced Wilson. I think that he is a guy that we talked about him a couple episodes ago as a guy that you want to target here. Is kind of the new 2. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's going to be the new 1, and I think that there's more upside to come out of CeeDee Lamb. You got a solid freshman, solid sophomore year. I think the breakout comes in year 3 for him, where he really goes next level on a high-volume pass offense team. It's all going to be volume-based because the underlying metrics don't really point to anything super sexy. It's just volume, and they throw a lot.
I do love the fact that both Cooper and Gallup and Schultz could all be gone. I don't see them losing L3. And if they do, then I see them drafting a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds or in the first 2 days of the draft. This is still
they could sign someone too. I mean,
they could sign someone too.
The thing with this, I'm with you because I just don't know that it's going to be any of the 3 guys that are walking. It could, if it is, it's probably Schultz because
I think Schultz is definitely gone. I think that one we can write in.
Well, that's just it. Gone. I think they're ready to move on from Cooper, and I think Gallup might demand a little more than what they're willing to pay him. So
it's going to be very interesting.
Drafting somebody.
I think they're better off looking for veterans. If I'm trying to retain Gallup. I'm letting Cooper walk. Age-wise, is all age, and you let Schultz walk because you have Darwin, because you have Blake Jarwin, who may not be on the same level from a receiving standpoint, but he's going to cost significantly less. Mm-hmm. You want to keep. I think if you're Dallas, you want to keep Gallup. You keep Wilson. Lamb has been he was a heavily used slot receiver in his rookie season. Obviously, that came off a bit in the second year. We got to see the drop off in his yards after the catch. And you just hope that if Dallas can all be healthy, including him, that he can reach up to where he was. But he's still a Cowboy, so you're already getting a bump up just because of the team he plays for, and that is very much real. He is still a very accomplished already. He's not Justin Jefferson levels accomplished in this class, but he's still up there. He's still probably the second best receiver in this class that's performed so well. And he's still heavily valued. I mean, right now DLF has him as, its ADP is 5.5. Like,
sure,
he's still floating. He's even floating that cell. Like, even coming off of what some may consider a disappointing second year, coming off of a strong rookie season.
He has not fallen off that far.
He hasn't fallen off that far. I mean, I'm bringing this straight up. You talk about T. Higgins, right?
Yeah.
First trade I see on DLF in recent trades. CeeDee Lamb for T. Higgins and a 23 first round pick. I would break my fucking phone or computer, slam and accept if I can get Higgins and a first for Lamb.
For Lamb. Oh, easily. Yeah, I would too. Because, like I said,
I love Lamb, but fuck.
They ain't that far apart. The biggest difference is that Lamb might not be playing second fiddle to somebody, whereas Higgins is going to be at least a 1B, but you throw that first in there, yep, 100%.
I mean, all day.
I don't even have to think about it.
It's only because I want the 23. I want the lottery tickets. I want my chance at these backs. This was a bit more interesting here. This is a 2-for-1. So a CeeDee Lamb for a 22nd first and Elijah Mitchell. Obviously different positions, but it's still a conversation to have. You have a weaker class.
Depends on where the first is.
I don't know if that matters for me. It does. Yeah, okay. There's also a 6th round pick in the 23 class, but I don't care. It doesn't say if it's super flex or not.
Elijah Mitchell's inconsequential to me as a non-draft capital, flashback. We haven't seen the same back produce in San Francisco multiple years in a row in I don't know how long. So
yeah, I would make this trade if I can get Lamb. I have no problem giving up at 22. I don't know how many receivers I would want from this class ahead of Lamb, right?
I don't know. I haven't
Yeah,
I've
sure.
looked at stats. I haven't watched film, so
Damn it,
I can
that's
tell
true.
you who
But either
statistically
way,
profiles like I would want them more than CeeDee Lamb. But and there might be 2 or 3 guys there, but I gotta watch it first.
I will say as someone who is not as much more, but if there's not, maybe Burks, and that's probably it.
Sure.
Maybe Wilson. Those two will similarly have the same draft capital, but it's just interesting. And this spells to where Lamb's value is, right? Someone traded Lamb for Higgins in a 23 first, and someone got Lamb for a 22 first and Elijah Mitchell. I mean, it pays to throw these guys out on there, and Lamb is so a very polarizing player because of that.
Sure.
I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was very interesting.
Speaking of polarizing, 2 guys that went back to back, Jalen Reagor, we're done. This doesn't require a lot of discussion.
No.
Jalen Reagor, we're done with him, and Justin Jefferson's probably the Dynasty wide receiver 1. And
It's 1 or 2.
it's one.
It just depends
it's
how you
1 or
feel
2
about
with
Chase.
So
They're in the same tier. I prefer Chase because of who he's tethered to it. A quarterback, but it's literally splitting hairs.
Yep.
You want both. If you can get one, get one.
yeah, I don't think you're gonna get both. If you do, good God.
You're gonna be paying a lot.
Yeah, but not a lot of discussion needed there. Brandon Ayuk at the back end of the first. This is a pick that I hated at the time. I did not think you should have went ahead of Higgins, Pittman, even Chenault at this point. And while Ayuk has definitely flashed some productivity, he has not produced better than T. Higgins or Michael Pittman. Even he probably should have been. My guess would have been, look at some other guys that went here. He would have fit second round in this class. He should not have been a first round pick.
No. But I definitely agree. I think it's like if you look back at what the Niners have done and what Kyle Shanahan wants from his receivers, I'm actually not shocked by this pick because he pairs very well with Kittle and Samuel, and he definitely fits to the offense that Kyle Shanahan wants to run.
Yeah, he's a hold. I mean, he's been just fine. I think a lot of people have wanted more upside out of Ayuk, and didn't get it. And because of that, I think that Ayuk is a hold going into year 3.
I'm going to give you a either or.
Okay.
These guys are they're back to back.
Okay.
One guy you absolutely love from this past class,
Okay.
and then obviously Ayuk.
It's not Brandon Ayuk. Okay, go.
Amon-Ra St. Brown and Brandon Ayuk. They're back to back in DLF ADP ranks.
Probably give the edge to St. Brown just because of how it was utilized today as we're recording this episode, February 17th, 2022. I give the edge to St. Brown. He is right now the guy in the Detroit wide receiver room.
Yeah.
He heavily utilized, heavily targeted. They're different types of players. He doesn't quite have does not have Ayuk's chunk playability or explosiveness, but he's a good yak guy, a good middle of the field guy that I think pairs up nicely with Jared Goff's skill set. So, given what he showed in year 1 versus what Ayuk did in year 2022. I'm St. Brown by, it's more than a hair, but it's not by a wide margin.
See, I think it kind of is a wide margin. I think it is St. Brown, but I don't know why it depends on how wide you want to get. I think it's more than just a couple spots. St. Brown had that incredible stretch at the end of the year. You're not going to see a change in quarterback. Goff really loves and favors his slot receiver. Both of them have similar concerns for long-term value in terms of what the acquisition will be cost, what it'll be cost to acquire him in 2 to 3 years, because Goff's not the QB future for Detroit. But we're looking at it with these guys in a 1 or 2 year lens.
Right, you have
right now, and
Brown
is easily miles ahead. I don't care. Like I do have my concerns, but he's come down because it's been months removed since his blow up.
Right.
month or two removed.
A lot
since he's
happens
beloved.
when your team doesn't make the playoffs. And
Yeah.
you're just focused on the teams that do.
And Ayuk also done it in the playoffs himself. So that's the risk that you have to take with him. He's going to have games where a Debo is going to be utilized more, as a runner. A Kittle will do what, he does in those games. And Ayuk's a guy that maybe he gets the 8 targets for, 6 catches. And Trey Lance is going to change this offense, sure, but that the passing volume is coming down. Sam Brown doesn't have competition right now. Today, February 17th, 2022, Sam Brown's competition is basically just Hawkinson and Swift. Ayuk is a quarterback change, less passing volume, Samuel Kittle.
Yep.
So I think it's Sam Brown well ahead.
I won't argue with that, obviously.
For the few times that we don't have to argue about St. Brown.
Yeah. T. Higgins has been very, very good. T. Higgins should have been a first-round pick. I think that there's
He should have went to Kansas City. It still pisses
there.
me off that he didn't.
But he's been very, very good. He is good. I think the knocks right now on T. Higgins are that he is going to play second fiddle to Jamar Chase, or at least 1A, 1B. So he's not going to get, hella target volume. The good news is that since he should be throwing a good amount, we talked about, he's right there with CeeDee Lamb in terms of value. He's still valued a little bit below him, but as far as, the type of player, the style of player, and the floor, and what their underlying metrics say, they're pretty damn near the same.
Higgins will forever and always be a beast. He may get little less target volume, than Chase. So Chase has the explosive upside ability that Higgins just unfortunately doesn't have. No one really can match outside of Jefferson, and Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel has the explosive upside that that Chase has. Higgins is still in the perfect role for it. And what's to say Higgins in 2 years doesn't decide that he wants to stick and play second fiddle to his boy Chase? Maybe he wants to go out there and command that top dollar. We know that Higgins can perform as number one. He did it his rookie season. So, I mean, Higgins, his value is high, but he's still spots. Again, we just saw CeeDee Lamb get traded for him in a first. If I can get that for CeeDee Lamb, it's a slam accept, and that's what I want. I want Higgins' value may increase when he leaves. And right now, it's incredible with the passing volume that it is in Cincinnati. The defense playing above what it should be. And that's not going to stay, because why would they change their offense when it works so well? Just because their defense gets better doesn't mean they're going to throw the ball significantly less. And with Boyd probably gone within a year or two, I think it's Higgins to the moon. This is two receivers on this offense that should be viewed as top 10 Dynasty assets. And then Chase can't get much higher than where he is, but Higgins could.
No, it's hard to go higher than one.
Right. Would you be shocked, though, if Higgins outscored Chase next year? How shocked would you be? Would you be shocked?
Surprised. I don't think I'd take it up to shocked, but I'd be surprised.
Because I think based on what the ADP is going to tell us in the redraft, Higgins is going to be a value.
Higgins should be a value, yes.
And that's pretty much where I'm going with it, but they're not. I don't think they're that far off.
So I hesitate to say 2 instead of 1A, 1B, but I do think that Chase's explosiveness makes him a clear 1A.
Trying to cool the waters on Chase a little bit. That's probably why. But
what I will say is this. If you were to tell me that Higgins would out-target Chase, I'd buy that a little more and find that a little bit more believable than outscore.
That's fair.
So
I'll be interested to keep seeing. I'll be interested to see what the target share numbers look like next year. If they both play full 17, so does Burrow, just to see where it lines up. Because Higgins is very, very, very talented, and he's still even with his increase in ADP, he's still a bit underappreciated.
Under the radar is Michael Pittman. Side saddled with Carson Wentz. Target volume wasn't necessarily, something to fall in love with, but the efficiency with that target volume was very, very good, and he was a very solid wide receiver 2 for most of the season.
And he'll have his upside capped, run first offense and tethered to Carson Wentz, but we've seen big body receivers be successful with a Carson Wentz led offense. I think Pittman will continue to be a value. His kind of lack of blow upness towards the end of the year is going to help bring his value down. And I agree. He's a guy you maybe want to sniff at in Dynasty, and he'll be a value in redraft next year.
Yep. All right, running through the rest of the second round, Laviska Shenault, essentially a bust right now. KJ Hamler, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Denzel Mims. Claypool and Jefferson have definitely shown the most out of that rest of this group. Mims has been kind of a forgotten man. Hamler has been hurt/dead. Shenault is on his, he's like Creed over there doing one last breath. But
with arms wide open.
But
looking for that target from Lawrence.
Van Jefferson has shown flashes, although my concern with Van Jefferson is that when he's had the opportunity, when Robert Woods went down, he didn't really shine in that opportunity. It went
straight to
Odell Beckham, and then when Odell went down in the Super Bowl, he didn't shine in that opportunity or that role either. So, they'll take their deep shots to Van Jefferson. He's going to get his. He's going to be a little bit volatile, though, and he's not ever, I think, gonna clear that echelon. Chase Claypool has a lot more upside. We'll have to see what Pitt does at quarterback, what they do with Juju. And
Juju's pretty much gone.
I think Juju's gone, too. And then, you'll have Deontay Johnson there as well. So, Claypool came onto the scene like a bat out of hell his rookie season, and last year was relatively disappointing. So, for what I think a lot of people were expecting. He didn't have the big blow-up games necessarily or anything. He was just kind of gone.
He'll be someone that'll benefit a lot from their quarterback chains. He was heavily affected by just Big Ben's lack of arm talent, left arm strength, and just he's got the diviness to him too. Already attached to it. We probably already potentially have already seen peak, Claypool with that 4 touchdown game.
Sure.
I view him the way that it's kind of like Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is still cheaper than Claypool, and they're both kind of the same to me.
Yep.
They're going to be downfield threats that will have roller coaster seasons of targets, from a week to week base. Shenault, I'm going to probably chew their status a little bit, but got a little excited with Doug Peterson, but that's about it. I can't get much
that
more.
Brought you Jalen Rager. Anyway,
he didn't draft Jalen Rager.
Moving on to the third round. Lynn Bowden Jr., Brian Edwards, Devin Duberney, Devin Duberney in that third round. Duvernay is a guy I was super excited for, and then he landed in Baltimore, where there was no volume, and he's basically been fine for what they've asked him to do, but they haven't asked him to do nearly enough to justify being anything. Brian Edwards, a lot of people were excited for, and the offense Zay Jones was outproducing Brian Edwards in those opportunities. Edwards is a guy that's looked fine, a lot like Duvernay with the opportunities he's been given, but the opportunities haven't necessarily been there either. So
Edwards is just tethered to the wrong quarterback for him, but he's also just the wrong breed of receivers that have been successful moving forward.
I think
he can't separate, and Derek Carr is not going to throw receivers open. He's not taking risks.
And Duvernay can separate, but he's a guy that needs volume to get it done. And
He won't
That's not
ever
what you're
get that
going to get in
volume.
Baltimore. So these are two guys that I think you got to watch is, potentially second team guys here in a couple of years and see.
I mean, Dubernay, year 4, no, 3, excuse me. Without potentially Sammy Watkins, still he should have that slot role secure, or at least have that number 3 role secure.
Yeah, but I still don't think with Andrews, Hollywood Brown, and
I'm not saying he's going to give you. I'm saying he'll have his starting role secure. That if injuries were to happen,
yeah,
and he does have his own defined role within that offense, regardless. They're
sure. I still think that you're not going to get anything
not enough
out of either guy until second team. Great, he's starting, he's on the field, but you're still 4th in targets on a low volume pass offense. So,
God damn it, he's good.
4th round, Gabe Davis, Gandy Golden. We've talked about Gabe Davis a lot on this show. He's gonna have an expanded role. He's looked great in the roles that he's had. He had a blow up game in the playoffs against the Chiefs, and I think that he's been kind of a big play specialist on doing a lot with a little. I think that you're gonna get to see more and more of him. Kind of your real last maybe buy low window is going to be middle of the offseason, probably, when people have forgotten about that giant game, because when you get into next year and he starts stringing some performances together, that price is going to skyrocket. And I'm just saying, I think he will string some performances together. For the crowd that says that his game against the Chiefs was his best game and get out, yeah, I get it. If you're trying to sell at peak, that's what you do. Or if you're trying to trade at peak value, that's what you do. But I'm not that guy, right on a bell curve. And I think that there's going to be some sustainable success from Gabe Davis over the next couple of years. So I'm not ready to get out yet.
Yeah, no. I mean, you said it best. If you like him, you're going to hold him. If you're looking to capitalize on the trade window that was given to him, you're there. Problem is, that window is going to close until free agency. He's cooled off of him right now. You trade him literally a day or two after that game, because after that it just kind of goes away, because people just forget about it, because you're on to the next player that's booming, the next headlines that are coming out. And right now, you can spin a lot of narratives to what's going to happen with Davis. Why couldn't he take more from Beasley or Sanders or John Brown, when they're just below average players at this point in their career, to the point. And then on the flip side is, well, they're all gone because of the veteran, bullshit that teams will give players, and he should have more. All we know is that he's just coming off of his game of his career, and he's so polarizing that if you don't really like him, you're not going to draft him anyways, because he will go 2 to 3 rounds prior to when you think you'll take him.
Sure.
He's a pure truther player. He's Darius Slayton after his rookie year, and it's just whether or not he can contain. He can build on that. Is what's going to happen.
And
we'll find out.
I think he can. Gandy Golden was the guy that a lot of people like the size and the opportunity that he landed into, and he's done nothing.
He's a bad prospect, anyways.
It was not a good prospect. It was more of a size and landing spot type of thing that drove him up.
Sure.
Beyond that, Joe Reed, I'll let you go ahead on Tyler Johnson briefly. Nothing? Okay, good.
Seven Dawkins, eh?
Colin Johnson showed some flashes. Quintez Cephas in Detroit. Now, this is the other guy that gives me a little concern with. We're going to pause here for a minute, because this does give me some concern with St. Brown, because Cephas was actually stringing together some pretty serviceable games before he got hurt. I don't know that that's long term, and it's so far removed that you don't have a window there anymore. But hold, because don't look at the name Quintez Cephas and think, cut this guy. No, he's a hold, because he did produce. He did string some stuff together there in Detroit before he got hurt, with Hawks still on the field before St. Brown came on. And you are going to have to see a little bit of that, how that unfolds. And if Cephas is still usable, it's actually a player that you could get some value out of versus cutting for free. So just want to put that note out there.
Cephas will be starting week 1.
He will be.
They'll likely have a rookie receiver alongside him on the outside, with St. Brown playing slot. we'll see who commands more of the target or of the snap volume when they're running, two receiver or 12 personnel. That's pretty much it. It's Cephas carved out his role before St. Brown had his footing. And the stretches of weeks were so long because Cephas got hurt early enough that it's hard to know. I mean, right. St. Brown still had 6 weeks of incredible success
at the end, and there was no Cephas there. So this is like what team was.
But he was gone. And Cephas had been gone for multiple weeks prior to that even happening.
Yeah,
it's more of a luxury. I like I said, Cephas will probably start week 1 as one of the outside receivers.
It's a hold. Yep. John Hightower, Isaiah Coulter, nothing there. Darnell Mooney. He's the one in Chicago right now. He was the one all season. I think he had like 104 targets.
140.
140. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, he stayed healthy.
Yeah. So the target volume was there for Mooney. What do you make of him long term? Is the non?
He shouldn't. If he's being valued as a 1, I'm trading him. He's not. He's not a 1. He's not.
No,
but he's a good 2.
He's a great 2. Good field stretcher.
He's a great 2, and I think for fantasy wise, if once the values cool down, because he's been the one that's kind of sustained that because of the fact that Robinson was a complete bust his final year in Chicago. Mooney stayed healthy, and he paired well with both Dalton and Fields.
He got open.
9th
in unrealized air yards.
Yeah, and once Fields gets himself settled in, I still like Mooney. I don't know where his true value lies in now. It's probably cooled down a little bit. DLF has him as wide receiver 36, just behind Hunter Renfrow, just ahead of Michael Thomas, which Michael Thomas is massive value because for all sorts of reasons. Oh. But right now he's being taken in that 6th round range in startups.
The 11th in target separation to go along with 9th in unrealized air yards and 13th in actual air yards. So I mean, it was definitely there for him.
Yeah.
You get a little more consistency in the offense, a little bit better quarterback, and even if you take away 30 or 40 of those targets because you bring somebody new in, I still want this all day. Is a third wide receiver on my roster.
This is what if I had Mooney, what I'd be doing. Grayson Trey's DLF, Mooney, and a 22 first-round pick for DK Metcalf. If you're going to move Mooney, shoot for a top 7 receiver dynasty. A spot where Mooney will probably never hold. And that's not to his own fault. That's just
it's just
based on the role and just him as a prospect. To be able to move him for a top 5 in most people's mind, yeah. And then right below that, it was Darius Slayton and a 22 first for Darnell Mooney. Which the question is, would you trade a 22 first for Mooney?
No, but I'd damn sure accept one.
So
22 second, but not a first.
Yeah, it's at that point where Mooney's value is still high enough to where he's in that sell window, and that's because he's still coming off of this incredible season. I don't think we're going to see higher than this in peak value, but he could.
Yeah.
And if you like him enough, then obviously I see why you hold him. I think he's a sell if that's still the value for him. But
no, I think so too, because you're going to get a prolonged sell window here. And I think that this is so far, I say bell curve, but this is like somebody went up to the top of the bell curve and then like put a trampoline up there and was jumping on it. And at the peak of his jump, that's where his value is right now. So I do think this is one of the things where you do come off of somebody at their peak, because it will never, it's not like it's this high and then it's going to come down gradually. I don't even think his target volume and value will ever be close to this high again. So that's not an indictment on Moody. I think he's going to be a very serviceable piece, but it's saying I'm okay. This is one of the few times where I am okay with cashing in on a guy at their peak. All right, next couple guys. KJ Osborne, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Quez Watkins have all shown flashes. None of them have done anything consistent. I don't have a lot to say about any of them. Keep an eye on Thielen, I guess, for KJ because he did produce.
Osborne's probably going to get replaced. Yeah, like this was his peak, and unfortunately, his sell window was end season. So, but I mean, I still like him as a player. I'm glad that he came on, to where he is. Minnesota's going to probably add receivers, and Osborne's going to.
Well, they should add receivers regardless because they're so top heavy with no depth.
Yeah, I mean it's Osborne doesn't play special teams, and you just have a whole new coaching change with no ties to him. So, yeah, I've said way too many words already.
James Prochet sucks. Isaiah Hodgins is nothing. Desmond Patton, Freddie Swain, Jawan Jennings, KJ Hill, Tyree Cleveland, all nothing. So, it's the end of that. Tight ends, I'll read through the names because we don't need to talk about any of them. Cole Kmet. Actually, Kmet is probably the one guy we can talk a little bit about. Sorry.
I was going to say maybe.
Kmet and Alberto maybe deserve a little bit of time, so we'll talk about them. As we run through it. So, Cole Kmet, second-round pick in Chicago. He has come on a little bit. He was kind of a reliable option there briefly at the beginning of the season. And is a guy that with more consistency in the offense, if they do decide to leverage him, could give you some, I think his ceiling is probably Dalton Schultz, but, could very well give you some serviceable weeks in that top 12 tight end range. He's not a guy he's a hold. He's not a guy you trade for. He's not a guy that has enough value to trade away. But, he flashed enough year two with tight ends being later breakouts and this offense hopefully getting more consistent to still say, yeah, there could be something there.
He fits in that large cluster of like he's on an upper echelon tight end talent. He's on an offense that has, lack of target competition at this moment. It's not like Chicago's throwing the football around a shit ton either.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just a guy. He could easily, finish as a mid low tight end one based on the fact that he stayed healthy, but he doesn't have top 3, top 5 in his future. That's just not. I just don't think that's where I'm at with him. And he's just a part of that large fucking cluster pool of tight ends. He's not hyper athletic,
but it's better than almost any of the rest of these guys. So there's that.
I mean, this is like the 2020 class is running. It's QBs, running backs, receivers, and then
nothing.
You fucking punt tight end.
Devin Asiasi is nothing. Josiah DeGora saw some run with the Packers, but not anything worth anything.
Yep.
Dalton Keene, also nothing. So the Patriots spent 2 draft picks on tight ends that have not amounted to anything.
And then they replaced them with Hunter Henry.
Right.
And Jonnu Smith the following offseason.
Adam Troutman, nothing. Harrison Bryant, nothing. Alberto would be something if he wasn't in the same offense as Noah Fant when we talk about guys that...
the most athletic tight end in this class.
Yeah.
And with Tim Patrick and
Cortland Sutton.
And Sutton, being signed, maybe Fant moves on and Alberto stays here.
I think Fant is going to move on. And that's where your window is, but you're not there yet. He's a hold. Or, Fant has been known to get banged up and stuff. You could see Alberto come on a bit more there. He's the other guy in this class that I think is a hold.
I think he's on most people's waiver pool.
Yeah.
Maybe in tight end premium leagues he's rostered, but Alberto is someone you pick up as a churn piece. You hold him in the off season, and you just kind of hold him there until you need to drop somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got that upside. He's flashed when Fant's been hurt. He's flashed when he's had his chances. But I mean, we're about to get another decent, tight end class supposedly because I don't watch tight ends, but
I'm not there yet.
yeah, it supposedly this is a far better tight end class. But in terms of a tight end that's got a chance to shine when given opportunity, Alberto is one of the only tight ends in this class that has that shot outside of Cole Kmet.
And the next guy, I want to say a couple words about Bryson Hopkins. Mostly because I'm just determined to make Bryson Hopkins a thing.
Just because of our group chat.
Yeah, well, because of our group chat. Yeah.
It's like Josh love for you.
Yes, except for Bryson Hopkins is actually super freaking athletic and profiles like a tight end that could be something. And did look pretty good in the Super Bowl. And that's all I got to say. It's another guy that is athletic as hell that looked decent in the Super Bowl. You're looking to see if he can carve out a little bit more in year 3. He was super raw coming into the league. Tight ends are late breakout a lot of the time. Tyler Higbee, we know, was not it. Hopkins is probably better than Kendall Blanton. I think he stays on this roster, and he's just somebody that you hold and you keep an eye on until you need to turn the roster spot because of his athleticism and how easy it is to become a tight end one.
Just got to get healthy. Just got to stay healthy and get a little lucky.
Yeah. But the athleticism is definitely there.
No, I definitely agree. That's it. Is that it?
Yeah, Charlie Warner, Tyler Davis, and Steven Sullivan. Okay, now that's it. That's our show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Right at 2 hours on the norm, on the button. 2021 next week with Josh Larkey.
Don't get COVID again, even though I know you can't. I'm so pumped for next week's show.